Good morning. It is August 1st. And I was challenged with some thoughts about self-awareness versus selfishness, or self-care versus selfishness. There are basic things that we need to do to take care of ourselves. We should wash ourselves. We should make sure our health is in proper care, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Spiritually first, mentally, emotionally, physically, in that order, preferably, but definitely spiritually first, because that's your relationship with the Most High, with God. I recognize that a lot of people get in their feelings about what they do or don't want to do. And let me back up and say, Jesus said the greatest command is love God first, love your neighbor as yourself. So that means you have to love yourself and then your neighbor. So I think about how a good parent, or God, the greatest parent of all, loves his children, or loves his or her children. And I recognize that feelings don't often come apart of when there's something that needs to be done. For example, if your child is sick, no matter how tired you are, even if you fall asleep in the hospital, it's like you're there. It's important how I feel, whatever is going on, it has to wait. Because this is most important, the care of this child. And I extend it to relationships, and how so often we get our feelings in the way of how we interact with each other. The selfishness. I don't feel like this. Well, there were no conditions on the love commandment. It said love your neighbor as yourself. So, and I was even listening to an individual, as they said, in their singleness, they're able to be selfish. And I reflected, I'm like, you've always done what you wanted to do. So I guess you've always been pretty selfish. But just looking at how do we find that line of demarcation of selfishness versus self-care? Let's look at different aspects of it. It is selfish to only think about yourself in a situation when you're having a conversation and you refuse to look at someone else's perspective or paradigm or view of how things went down or how they perceived it and received it. It is selfish to not want to seek understanding of the situation and think that your mindset is the only mind about the situation. It is selfish to say you love someone and do nothing for them. Love is an unconditional act for the benefit of the second party. The only benefit that you should get from it is the intrinsic joy of saying you bless somebody. It is blessed to be a blessing, and it does feel good to help somebody out. I even look at some people who break things or break others' spirit or hearts and refuse to help in that healing process. I think it's selfish for a person to want to be in the public eye as this person who's so politically correct, so righteous, But at the same time, when it comes to people you say you love, you treat them like crap. And there's no grace, mercy, little forgiveness or things like that. Or it's conditional. As long as you meet these terms, as long as you doing this, and it's like, so at that point you become the controlling party of the individual. I often wonder how people find their unique rules on how they feel things should go down. I mean, like, when I'm trying to adjust this fan so when it's going through there and I can roll the window up. Oh well. I'm trying to cut down the background noise while I'm driving. But anyway, I often wonder how we make up these rules. And it often comes from our upbringing, or not necessarily from our parents, but just what we caught as people along the way. Whether it was biblical, through relationships, experiences, business, whatever it is. We often create these unwritten rules for ourselves and how we want to engage and how we want to, forgive or whatnot, versus just letting the Bible just be truly the authority over our lives. When strangers can have more access than those who we say we love, it's selfish to keep allowing your breaking of another person to supersede your attempt to help them heal. And I'm not saying that we should go around helping everybody heal that we broke. Some things are just too far gone. But at the same breath, when you know you damaged an individual through actions that you did, and especially when you become self-aware and you have this realization that you did wrong, yeah, you should go and try to amend and apologize and say, hey, this is what I did wrong. This was not right. Whether it's a marriage or parenting or work, whatever type of relationship it is, relative, just say, hey, I acknowledge what I did. This is where I'm at with it, and let that be. So at least you can help restore that person, at least plant the seed of restoration for that person. When you refuse to take responsibility for the actions that you did, that's selfish. And we can say self-care is, hey, God will handle it, God got him. Yeah, he does, but what is your purpose on this earth? What is your ministry? What is your individual ministry? What do you truly represent? Is all the grace and mercy and forgiveness for you, but for no one else? It's something to think about. So, let's go into another vein of selfishness versus self-care. It is good to take a vacation, even if it's by yourself. Sometimes you need to get away from everything, no responsibilities, to be able to think, to be able to reflect, to be able to decompress, to get out of the rat race routine of mundane, everyday work, eat, sleep. Let's try it again. So, when you are able to, when you recognize that you're tired and you're becoming easily irritated, or even if not, you just schedule certain times so these buildups do not occur. It is very healthy to take a vacation, even if it's 2 days, and don't find a whole bunch of stuff to do on some of these days when you're tired. Now, if you want to go have fun for vacation, that's something different. But still, even in that time, make sure you have time to rest and do nothing. Because the worst thing to do is come home to a whole bunch of dirty clothes and have to go to work the next day. It's just continuing that tired out process. You have to rest. You have to find that rest. Selfishness can come into play when we totally neglect those we say we love. For example, if you're married, I mean, maybe every blue moon you may take a vacation by yourself or with some friends that are just friends. So, but you don't want to have the majority of your away time away from your mate, because that creates a wall, it creates a gap, it creates a division, and it's not about being one and together. Even with your kids, yes, I agree, sometimes you need to have time away from your children, especially if you have a marriage or a special companion, because you two need to make sure y'all on one accord before you bring the kids around. Blended, traditional, both of them, y'all, all the kids from both of you, or just dating and trying to figure it out. So it's important to take off work sometimes, especially if you're sick. I mean, that goes without saying, but if you need time to recover from a major health thing like cancer, I mean, whether the finances are totally in order or not, it's like, if you did, what good is the money? It's a tough call, but at the same time, you have to, if you're gone, what's the purpose of even trying to get healthy? And it's selfish to not take care of your health when you have a family, or even you have yourself to take care of. It's a lot of guys and ladies, a lot of good women and a lot of good men out here that are just islands, because it's hard to find somebody who's truly committed for the long haul because of this selfishness that's going around. I look at kids. Kids supposed to be selfish, but they supposed to be trained to be less selfish as they get older. A baby, all they know is eat, clean me up, and give me some love, give me some attention. But as we get mature, we should learn, okay, maybe I should call my aunt, uncle, cousin, grandma, parents, or whatever, say, hey, I'm thinking about you, love you. I know I got a lot going on over here, but I'm just saying I'm thinking about you, I love you. And it goes way beyond just showing up at the funeral and crying and feeling guilty because you didn't give people the roses while they're here. And don't feel guilty about not receiving from other folks. Like, if you need somebody because you need a favor, don't feel ashamed to ask. It's okay. It's okay to ask for favors from folks, as long as you're sowing into them. It's not that anybody owes you anything, but don't be the person, don't be the family member that only calls when you need something. That's not relationship. That's selfishness. I was talking to a friend and she said the caramel chocolate chick versus the high yellow vanilla cream, and she was talking about this complex that some ladies have, that this guy's gonna do this, this, and this, and I'm not gonna do anything for him because they're selfish. And I said, wow, that's crazy, because I've seen and experienced people like that. And just remember, it's a very hurtful role when you look at yourself and you recognize how selfish you've been, especially in relationships or where your children are concerned, or even parents. It's very hurtful when you can't make amends and you have to go through that process. We can compartmentalize and block out stuff, but at the end of the day, you're still looking in the mirror. You're still looking in your mirror. What have you really done for this other individual who's constantly sowing into you? And one-way streets usually end in dead ends. So be careful who you starve. Even if you starve them just from wanting to sow into you or love on you, you take the fun out of it because you didn't make yourself easy to love. It's okay to have people to love on you without the fear of hurt or rejection. It's okay to share a hug with somebody without being sexual with it. It's okay for people who you do care about. Now, I'm not saying, absolute strangers, but use some common sense and discernment. Some people you just love, and in that loving is given, and it's okay to receive and it's okay to give. Don't be the person who always has to give all the time. You need to receive something in return. Whatever that is, you know what you need to receive, but you need to receive something in return. Not receiving anything in return becomes detrimental to the relationship. And it's the selfishness because you refuse to allow someone to love you. The fear evades the space and creates a void of real, sincere love. And true relationships, even if not romantic, are difficult to be kindled or difficult to be cultivated. I look at some of my male friends. We constantly give to each other. Constantly trying to find out how we can help each other out. Even if it's just a call, just, hey man, what's going on with you? I have about 4 male friends that are truly friends. And after so long, it's like, hey, what's going on? What you doing? What you thinking about? Or whatever it is, because at the end of the day, who looks out for you? That's a part of self-care. Having people in your circle that really care about you as an individual. And you can have friends of the opposite sex the same way. One of my friends is married, and I love her to life. I love her and her husband to life. Oh my God. Those are some of the best people. I mean, if it weren't for them, I probably wouldn't even want to be in a relationship again, because it's just like all the mess ups that I've had in terms of picking the wrong folks, and you know, before I was enlightened on what it meant to be in a relationship, you know, just the ignorance I did, it's like, man. But the self-care is saying I can see examples of things working and say that's okay to have a goal for that. I don't want their marriage or anything, but it's just like that can exist, that can work. And anyway, you know, I do believe in having female friends, because you do need that female voice in your ear to say, hey, you know, hey, this is how it is, or you know, yeah, you forgetting about this detail right here, or you know, it's just a different perspective on things, and that's healthy. That's caring about yourself with the boundaries, with those boundaries. And it's just a different space when you're in a secure space, secure mental space. I'm secure in who I am. I'm secure in my relationship. I'm secure with my mate, so I don't have to worry about this, that, and the other. And the security really is recognizing your relationship with God supersedes our relationships, and security within yourself, loving God, loving yourself, loving your neighbor, saying, hey, I forgive myself for the seeds I've sown in the past, so I don't have to worry about, or fear versus faith, fear that seed to reap a harvest that I don't want. I love myself. I care about myself enough to recognize that God has restored me, has forgiven me of past hurts and mistakes. So why not receive that love from God? That is self-care. To say, I don't have to reap all the bad that I've sown. I can forgive and be forgiven. And it's good to be able to have male and female relationships with boundaries, where you truly are a representative of a whole person, where you don't have to sleep around with everybody just because you see me with a woman. That means I'm sleeping with a woman, or you see me, you know, with a guy, that means I'm sleeping with that guy. It's good to have just friends, so you can. That's self-care. Now, when you're married, if they aren't mutual friends and certain boundaries aren't established, then it may not be healthy for the marriage to have opposite sex friends, especially if that person is getting more intimate information about you or your marriage than your spouse is. It's not self-care when you create a seed of a negative harvest to say this person knows more about me than my husband or my wife, or I feel safer to communicate. And it's just, it's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That's selfish. To say I'm going to go to this person. No, you go to your mate, and you all learn the healthy practices of how to communicate and work through it. You're married. You work through it. It is not good self-care to be married and have individuals who know more about your situation than your mate. And I'm going to leave that right there. Grooming is a self-care thing. Keeping your hair looking presentable. You shouldn't have to go around with a bonnet on your head all day. Now, I'm going to say in pollen season, ladies, it is good to cover your hair, especially if you got a new-do and you don't want to wash it out because that pollen will get in your hair. And this is a major reason why ladies start wearing hair coverings or hats out in public, was because it was keeping the debris and dander from work or just being out in the elements from getting in the hair. Because when you go to sleep and you turning on that pillow this way and that way, all that dander is getting in your face and causing allergens and congestion or allergy reactions when you go to sleep. So yes, there is a purpose for that. Self-care is about grooming. Yes, get a massage when you need it. Get your back adjusted when you need it. Stretch every morning. Brush your teeth every day, maybe twice a day. Wash your face. Wash your hands after using the bathroom. I mean, a lot of people don't do this. Stop the spread of germs. Wash your hands before you eat. If you've been sweating throughout the day, you should take a shower before you go to bed. Clean up your house. Keep things organized so you won't keep wondering where stuff is. Just know, selfishness is all about you. Love is for you and for others. I pray you discern to learn what it is, so your selfishness does not burn bridges and kill what could be. May you live in a land of prosperity, because you recognize the love seed and deeds that make life great. In Jesus' name.